just 2 days after entering the S&P 500 and just hours after being on Capitol Hill meeting with U.S. senators, Coinbase has reported a massive hack of personal customer data, with the perpetrators demanding $20 million in Bitcoin.
Hey everyone, I want to make you aware of a disturbing email that we received recently at Coinbase. It was a ransom note demanding $20 million in Bitcoin in exchange for these attackers not releasing some information they claim to have obtained on our customers. Now, we like to do things transparently here at Coinbase, and so I'm going to respond publicly to these attackers by saying no. We are not going to pay your ransom. In fact, I have a few next steps in mind that I'm going to share at the end of this video. But for the rest of you watching, wondering what happened, we did an investigation here, and these attackers have been approaching our overseas customer support agents, looking for a weak link, someone who would accept a bribe in exchange for sharing some customer information with them. Now, our support tools have limited access to customer information. There was no passwords or private keys or funds accessed as part of this. But customer support agents do have access to personal information like name, date of birth, address, etc. And attackers still want access to this information because it allows them to conduct social engineering attacks where they can call our customers impersonating Coinbase customer support and try to trick them into sending their funds to the attacker. Now, unfortunately, they were able to find a few bad apples. Our systems are designed to mitigate the impact of something like this, so less than 1% of our monthly transacting users had their records accessed, but this is still unacceptable. And I want to tell you what we're doing about it. So first, any customers that were socially engineered as a result of this incident, we're going to reimburse them. There's more details on our website, on our blog post about the reimbursement process. You can read more there. Any customers who have been impacted by this or have been notified at this point. Number two, we're hardening our systems around customer support to make something like this much more difficult in the future. And third, we're actually relocating some of our customer support operations as a result of this. But the last step is maybe the most important, which is that instead of paying this $20 million ransom, we're turning it around. And we're putting out a $20 million award for any information leading to the arrest and conviction of these attackers. For these would-be extortionists or anyone seeking to harm Coinbase customers, know that we will prosecute you and bring you to justice. And now you have my answer.
We're going to break it all down and provide you a resource where you can go to get one-on-one coaching on how to prevent yourself from being a victim of these attacks, and also what you can do if you were affected. And despite Coinbase Coinbasing, we have massively bullish developments, and Bitwise's Matt Hogan and Anthony Scaramucci and more are saying strap in and get ready for 200K Bitcoin. And spoiler alert, 200K is bearish. Welcome back, I'm Rustin, and we have some insane news to get to today. Send it!
Big news for you guys on the S&P 500. Is that going to change your outlook at all, or the impact that Coinbase has?
Well, we're very happy to be included in the S&P 500. It now means that crypto is here to stay. It's going to be a part of everybody's 401k. It's a testament to the hard work of our employees and our investors. And it's a big appreciation to our customers, too, that helped us get to be one of the most trusted companies in America. And so we couldn't be happier.
Thank you so much. That was Brian Armstrong, CEO of Coinbase. Guys, back to you.
Correction. Bitcoin is here to stay. The vaporware can GFY, but here we go. This is not a drill. The world's largest Bitcoin exchange, Coinbase, just revealed a coordinated $20 million extortion attempt, and the breach came from inside the house. According to an SEC filing in a blog post dropped May 15th, cyber criminals bribed overseas support contractors to steal sensitive user data from the internal Coinbase systems. That's right, insiders bought off. These attackers didn't get passwords or seed phrases, but they did grab a terrifying amount of personal data from, according to them, less than 1% of users. But let's be honest. That sounds like absolute bullshit because the reports of massive phishing have been everywhere. 1% my ass. But we're talking names, birthdays, masked SSNs, addresses, phone numbers, emails, even images of government IDs and transaction history. After stealing that, they demanded $20 million in Bitcoin, threatening to leak the data unless Coinbase paid up. And as you saw in the intro, Coinbase told them to kick rocks. And instead, they flipped the script, offering a $20 million reward for information leading to the arrest of these cyber thieves. And Coinbase is now expecting up to $400 million in reimbursements for customers tricked into phishing scams. Yeah, the fallout's already here, so what now? Coinbase says it's restructuring its customer support operations and tightening internal access controls. But let's be honest, this is a red alert for the entire industry. Social engineering is the #1 threat to your Bitcoin if you're not in self-custody. Let this be a reminder, not your keys, not your coins. And if you're still trusting offshore support centers to protect your digital sovereignty, you might be doing it wrong. But fear not, my friends, because over at the Bitcoin Way, they've got you covered. Here's a rundown on the madness from the Bitcoin Way, your #1 spot to learn how to Bitcoin. Check it out.
Hey there, Michael here with the Bitcoin Way. Another day, another Coinbase fiasco. This morning, Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong shared that the company had been the target of an attack with hackers requesting $20 million in Bitcoin in exchange for not leaking sensitive customer data they'd acquired. Brian explained in a video the details and shared that customer service representatives, while having no access to data like private keys, do have access to certain customer information like names, dates of birth, and addresses. The risk, of course, is that perpetrators can then conduct social engineering attacks, impersonating Coinbase support employees and extracting further information or directly requesting transfer of funds to themselves. Brian alluded to the fact that the attackers found a few bad apples, indicating perhaps employees were bribed to give up this information. Crazy stuff. So, a few takeaways. First of all, these attackers literally targeted a crypto casino. They could have requested any cryptocurrency, but instead wanted Bitcoin. Good news is the world is waking up to the fact that there really is no second best. Bad news is that thousands and thousands of people are still KYCing themselves to giant honeypots like Coinbase, deluding themselves into thinking that the probability of anything bad happening is quite low. But the reality is lots of things can go wrong, and the odds of a mishap are in fact quite high. This situation highlights one such scenario. When you KYC yourself, you are giving up highly sensitive data and trusting an organization to look after it. Even if you think Brian Armstrong is a well-intended guy, which if you do, dear God, wake up, you can't control the army of people who work for him and have access to your sensitive data. Mistakes are easily made and bribes abound when there is money to be made. Don't think because it's a big publicly traded company, somehow they are immune to being compromised. But that's just the situation today. As Bitcoin grows and Coinbase continues to custody keys for more and more big players, MicroStrategy, the ETFs, and soon others, the honeypot will become irresistible for politicians and regulators who want to retain power. It's not unfathomable at all that you could wake up one day to find out that the Bitcoin they have, which likely isn't one-to-one with what you've been sold, has been confiscated. If you don't believe me, you probably need to go read a few history books. And remember, Coinbase is notorious for going down frequently or having long and arbitrary holds on withdrawals. Even if your Bitcoin is there, you might not get it when you want it or need it most. KYC exchanges provide the ultimate Bitcoin attack vector. They can be hacked directly or personal data stolen to extract value from the individuals after the fact. They are not to be trusted. If your Bitcoin thesis is that its value will continue to rise, that it will be the next global reserve currency, or anything along these lines, do yourself a big favor. Take your Bitcoin into self-custody immediately. If you drag your feet long enough, you'll end up paying the price. And believe me, it will be very, very hard to ever get your Bitcoin back.
If you were affected or want to learn more, head over to the Bitcoin Way and begin your journey toward Bitcoin sovereignty today. Click the link below in the show notes to set up a free 30-minute consultation. Now, in other news, it looks like a Bitcoin doubling is upon us.
Every time that's happened, it's increased the value of Bitcoin. So I have a $200,000 price target for year end. It's consistent with the 4-year curve of Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. And so I'm buying right now because I think Bitcoin's probably at a 20% discount from where it should be trading. But I do think it can get to 200,000 by year end. And if I'm wrong, it's 150 to 200,000. I think that's a successful year for Bitcoin. So, but this is not to say that it's not going to be volatile. It's not going to say that there's not naysayers out there that are shorting Bitcoin. And they're like, Bitcoin's bullshit, it's worthless, it's financial blather, it's a Ponzi scheme. I like the blockchain, but I hate Bitcoin. This is all the rhetoric that you hear from the naysayers of Bitcoin.
That's right, naysayers. Short it or GFY. But what about this? Famed short seller Jim Chanos is now long Bitcoin and shorting MicroStrategy. Bold strategy. Here we go.
So you're long Bitcoin, you're short MicroStrategy.
Yeah.
And you have been for a good while?
A good while. You're on and off for the last couple of years.
Why so? Because it's so levered to the price of Bitcoin?
We're short the spread. So that's the important thing that your viewers need to understand. I don't know where Bitcoin's going. 100,000, a million, 10,000. I don't know. I don't think anybody else knows. But what I do know is it's generally profitable to short $1 for $2.50 or $3. And if you look at where MicroStrategy, and now more ominously some of it copycat companies that are now raising lots of money, are doing is they are basically selling retail investors the idea that we are going to buy Bitcoin in a corporate structure. Because of what MicroStrategy has done, you should value us at a similar premium, and therefore earnings are created by the difference between what new investors are paying and what the net asset value is. But it's ridiculous. And so what we're doing is we're doing exactly what MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor are doing. We're selling MicroStrategy stock and buying Bitcoin. And basically buying something for $1, selling it for $2.50.
If Bitcoin continues to go up, is that the most direct impact to how your trade is going to work?
The premium fluctuates, and the premium is a really good barometer of speculation in the market. So we're back at premiums to NAV where we were at the end of last year, December of 2024. The premium came way in 5-6 weeks ago when the markets were getting upset. It's right back up. And so this is a good barometer, not only just of the arbitrage itself, but I think of retail speculation.
Bold strategy, Cotton, indeed. I get it, but it's still odd science to me when their entire underlying value is based on Bitcoin's price, which you are longing. Again, bold strategy. If it leads to more corn for our friend here, then Godspeed. But we have more to get to. PPI numbers are in, and we have to answer the ultimate question that the Financial Times is grappling with right now. Bitcoin or teeth? Yep, that's right. Put on your clown shoes for this one because it's But before we bring it home, look at our likes.
3 or 4 times, maybe. I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and give us a pamp while we take a moment to recognize our sponsors powering this show and remind you that Bitcoin 2025 is coming in hot. That's right, the biggest Bitcoin event of the year is heading to Las Vegas May 27th through the 29th at the Venetian. History is sure to be made, and that lineup is absolutely stacked. You don't want to miss this one, and the Simply Bitcoin team will be on site. Use promo code SIMPLY for 10% off at checkout and grab your tickets today. Are you heading to the Bitcoin conference in Las Vegas? Sure, you know what you're doing during the conference hours. But what are you doing after 5 p.m.? Didn't get invited to Michael Saylor's after party? We've got your problem solved. Orange Pill app is the single largest repository of Bitcoin-only events in the world. Connect with over 16,000 other Bitcoiners in real life. Bitcoin is better with friends, and now you can zap them instantly, all in one app. What are you waiting for? Download the Orange Pill app today, go to a meetup, and who knows? The connections you make could last a lifetime. Big finish time. The fiat system is dying, and Bitcoin's star is rising.
What happened this year with the implementation of the tariffs, I don't think was intended by the administration. That's why there's been so much backpedaling that's gone on really since we had the week where bond stocks and the dollar fell in the U.S. and you saw rates moving higher, which was not in their plans. So what I've talked about with regards to Bitcoin was not intentional, meaning I don't think, and I'm certain of this, that they understood that that would go on, but that high correlation move that we haven't seen before that reminded everyone of an emerging market, for me, that was really the beginning of the end of the trust of the fiat system. So when I've just, written about this and described it, the fiat system, this has, been an experiment to have a non-gold backed global reserve currency that started in 1971. The personal computer came out in 1976. And if I took you through a timeline of all the crises that occurred, whether it's the Asian financial crisis, whether it's the Great Financial Crisis in 2009, whether it's all the money printing that went on with COVID or Silicon Valley Bank, we've always had these little incidents where it's led to more debt, more printing, and Bitcoin came into effect as kind of the final stage of the rise of the digital economy because we needed to have some sort of money payment, which didn't exist until Bitcoin came. So I think what has happened this year is they've broken the trust for other countries with the US in terms of the fiat system, and the global reserve currency. I'm not sure the administration wants that role anymore based on the way the election went and what we've seen in their comments. And I think the rest of the world has lost trust. So I think this was an unintended consequence that just is front loading, in my mind, a faster rise in Bitcoin, because I think many people are leaving the system faster than what had been anticipated.
Headline: PPI comes in at 2.4% versus 2.5% expected, and core PPI comes in at down 0.4% versus 0.3% expected, and apparently that is the biggest drop since April 2020, likely screaming rate cuts. And we have this: Powell is apparently reconsidering the average inflation target. I wonder who could have saw that coming. You know what that means? Higher for longer and more burr. Probably so much burr that your teeth will be chattering. That is, if you still have any teeth left after you've harvested and placed in cold storage. That's right. Trust the experts. I present to you the Financial Times.
Bitcoin is not for the faint-hearted. With no obvious use case, it's an inherently speculative bet. Bitcoin maxis like Jeff and Michael Saylor believe in the value embedded in Bitcoin because of its scarcity. I still don't get this. My teeth are pretty scarce and pretty useful, but they're not worth billions of bucks. Still, for the believers, there's just no plausible way for Bitcoin to crash. Are you comfortable with so much of your personal wealth tied up in this one thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you how strategy or Bitcoin are going to perform in the future. My track record here sucks, and I genuinely have no idea. But I would argue that no one else really truly has any idea either, which is why I get nervous for retail investors like Jeff.
Study Bitcoin.
Seriously. And people still wonder why communism fails. And this guy has a fair question. Like every time. It never fails. In closing, take self-custody of your Bitcoin, and it's probably not a good idea to start harvesting teeth for the retirement fund. Stay humble, stack sats, and put the needle-nose pliers away.
Katie Martin, an established Financial Times journalist who has been covering Bitcoin for the past 7 years, just made the most ridiculous comments about Bitcoin.
Bitcoin is not for the faint-hearted. With no obvious use case, it's an inherently speculative bet. Bitcoin maxis like Jeff and Michael Saylor believe in the value embedded in Bitcoin because of its scarcity. I still don't get this. My teeth are pretty scarce and pretty useful, but they're not worth billions of bucks.
It is 2025. Bitcoin has been going for more than 15 years. You cannot be a financial journalist with a platform making this kind of comment. So, Katie Martin, it is time for you to study Bitcoin. To everybody else, well, Bitcoin is happening whether you like it or not. Maybe it's time to take a closer look. It will be here next year, in 5 years, in 10 years, and 100 years. But whatever you do, don't be like Katie.
My teeth are pretty scarce.
Don't go mouthing off about Bitcoin when you are clearly so ignorant about the topic. Study Bitcoin and do what you love and save in Bitcoin.
You don't want to be toothless when we get to Valhalla? Get it together. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and give us a pat by spreading the sound money gospel. And set those notifications because Dante, Oceans, Nico, and Opti, they got a lot more coming your way. Stay up to date with the peaceful revolution, and I'll catch you all next time. Have a great weekend. Love you guys. Peace.
If you prefer to go down with the ship, you.